Who is Deangelo?
His heart leads with love and humility. His foundation is Christ. This is beautiful, but is this cringy?
I's married now, huh?
I's married.
We's married.
Why did y'all decide to keep it private?
I keep private what I want to protect. But when you're building a foundation, it's important to know the handprints that's going into the concrete. God can't disappoint you.
How do you feel that God used us in that moment to encourage the world to the tune of 300 million plus views?
It feels pretty unbelievable. I was in a dark place.
I said, I believe God is going to do something that's going to change your life forever. And you said, I'm going to lean on your faith because right now I don't have any. Whitney be getting DMs a lot by a lot of dudes. Why did you respond to those people?
Activity doesn't mean quality. Amen. I make skits about worshiping together. This man gonna ask me, you trying to speak in tongues together? I would go to his page. I just wasn't impressed. But when I saw him, I was like, you look a little different in real life. He's a really whole, healthy man. D wants to get married. I always had resistance to that.
You have resistance what, to marriage?
Yes. Sabotage is a real thing. One of my notes was, I don't know if I'll be able to be loved. I said, I'm waiting on D to walk out like a lot of people.
How did you think, Deangelo, about her being a virgin?
I was like, God, you've outdone yourself.
What is your hope that you want the world to take away from your love?
I pray our love is making us a walking billboard of God's goodness.
How did it get to, will you marry me? Dear future wifey.
Okay, scripturally, the Bible says your Father has already designed and purposed you.
I experienced an invitation of God this morning.
So you got to become an elite decision maker.
Elite decision maker.
He said, because you are one fleshly decision away from losing it all.
Etched in my mind is what true submission to Christ looks like.
I got to maintain that secret connection I have with God.
I'm so full and don't want to belabor this letter.
And I understand how important it is for men to disciple men, because if I didn't have that, I wouldn't be where I am today.
I've traded worldly pleasures to live a God-centered life.
The encounter I just had, I just need to rest in it.
Help us to be considerate, creative, and courageous lovers.
I love you. Your future hubby. Welcome to the Dear Future Wifey podcast. I'm your host, Laterra R. Whitfield. Listen, are you still shacking up with us? If you're still shacking up with us, can we get a commitment? Hit that subscription button and subscribe. Make sure you turn on your notification bell so you'll be notified about upcoming episodes. Now, let me tell y'all something. The reason why it's so important for you to subscribe, right now we're at like 570-something thousand subscribers. With the amount of views that we get, with the amount of engagement that we get, I noticed that over 50% of the people who watch the podcast aren't subscribers. I don't understand that. See, y'all got commitment issues and y'all want God to bring y'all purpose partner and y'all partners, but you can't even commit to a free subscription. We got to go ahead and unpack that. But listen, this episode is going to be absolutely beautiful. Make sure that you join us on Patreon. I'm going to start dropping more content on Patreon. And so y'all bear with me as I continue to put a team together so we can be consistent on that. This episode is special. It's extremely, extremely special. This is going to be a conversation. I'll chop it up with my peeps. Without further ado, welcome to a Dear Future Wifey podcast. My homies, Whitney. Should I call you by your new last name? Whitney Moss and Deangelo Moss is in the building. What's going on? What's going on? See, I was about to call you Whitney Davis, you know what I'm saying? And I was going to be disrespecting your king over here.
Don't disrespect me like that.
Yeah.
So look at that. So I's married now, huh?
I's married.
We's married.
He said we's married.
We's married.
So how y'all feel? How do y'all feel?
Ooh, we about 2 months in?
A little over 2, almost 3.
Yeah.
It feels awesome.
Why? What feels so awesome? Yeah.
I tell him every day, I'm just so grateful I chose well.
You chose well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we like best friends.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
So that carries us, when other things don't. So it's fun. It's fun. We kids.
Let me ask you this. I'm gonna do something different. Who is Deangelo?
Ooh, look at you.
Who am I? That's a good question.
And I'm gonna ask you the same thing about who is Whitney. So who is Deangelo? You about to introduce him to the world. Who is he?
Oh my goodness alive. That's so good.
That's good.
Deangelo.
Take your time. Take your time.
I'll choose my words wisely. No, Deangelo, the first thing I knew about Deangelo was his heart leads with love and humility.
Mm-hmm.
His foundation is Christ. His vulnerability is humor.
Mm.
He is business savvy. And his mind, he has a genius of a mind. Brilliant. It works in different ways that my creativity doesn't. And he's a lover boy. Very
He's a
soft,
lover boy.
Soft in his heart space. But hard on the outside. Pause. Muscles.
From
muscles.
Detroit.
Is it pause?
Muscles, yeah. Muscles. Yeah. Yeah. That's what I was saying. This is interesting.
Hard on the outside, Deangelo. That's what she said.
My baby know. My baby know me.
Yeah, muscles and stuff like
He said
that.
muscles.
Stuff like that.
Because you married now.
That's
You know,
right.
you married now.
We walked through that door.
Yes, we did.
He walked through that door.
That's right. I sure
Amen.
did. I ran
Yeah,
through
we
that
talked
one.
about that last
Ran through.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
Oh,
he took his time.
He took his time.
For sure, yeah.
Deangelo, who is Whitney?
That's a good question. Whitney? He's so silly.
Whitney is a multifaceted work of art.
Mm.
That's what she is. She is known for her creativity, but few people know her in the way that I've gotten to know her.
Yeah.
The softness, the caring, the compassionate, like accommodating, beautiful, smart, brave. Oh my, brave.
Thanks, babe.
Lover of Christ.
This feels like the
I can
vows.
tell. Like,
Why you do this? I feel like the wedding day.
I know.
I'm
Like it's like
this is beautiful, but is this cringy?
yeah, it's a little bit.
I love you.
I love you too.
It's beautiful, but it's like,
So you got to sit here and watch me talk about you.
Yeah, I gotta receive this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's amazing.
Thanks, babe.
She's amazing in every way. In every
Amen.
way. So much more I can say, but
That's good. That was good.
I love that. I love that. Why did that make you feel uncomfortable, Whitney?
You know, I haven't had many boyfriends. I think I talked about that. And I don't know if any of my relationships made it public. And I definitely didn't have a platform
Yeah.
when I had my relationship. So sharing him to the world is, you know, it's fun and it's amazing, but it's taking my time.
So how does that feel? So you did the utmost keep it private till it's permanent, and then after it became permanent, you still kept it private another 3 months. So my question to you is, why was it important? And that maybe both of y'all weighed in on this. Why did y'all decide to keep it private?
Well, we are both private people, first off. I think for me, I keep private what I want to protect.
that's good.
Yeah. I think in a world that wants validation, it's easy to want voices. But when you're building a foundation, it's important to know the handprints that's going into the concrete, you know? And so I don't want no hair. Who put that hair there? That's a piece of gum, you know? And so it's like you can track what voices are intaking and all the things. So I was like, let me just keep this one under wraps.
It was interesting because to some people we talked about, I was managing you after the wig. Matter of fact, we can't just ignore the fact
This is true.
that this wig. Matter of fact, just go ahead for nostalgic purposes. Just go ahead and just drop this wig video. This is what happened.
Because some people be like, God can't disappoint you. You know, he's a good father. He is, you know, and he has the best intentions for you. His plans are to prosper you.
Yeah.
Bring you to an expected end. But your life does not. Oh my God. Oh my God. Bruh. We gonna keep this? Nigga. I can't even reach it, bro. This is beyond embarrassing. Wait a minute. Bruh.
Don't be laughing, Ladarian.
Life be like, wait a minute. I'm weak. Everybody who does mine is not. You have a lot of hair now.
Wow, over 300 million views worldwide. It blows my mind. Somebody posted the video in April of 2024 and got 16 million views in 4 days. I'm like, what in the world? And people hit me up all the time that say, you know, when I'm in a low moment, when I'm at a down moment, I click on that video to encourage me. How do you feel that God used us in that moment to encourage the world to the tune of 300 million plus views?
You know, it feels pretty unbelievable because God really takes the little things and does what he wants with them. And I think laughter is healing, right? And I'm like, Lord, use me however you want to. I remember being in that bathroom and being like, Lord, you know, have your way in this interview. And then when you was introducing you like people from Africa, and I'm like, I didn't know this podcast was this big, Jesus. So I'm getting a little nervous. I'm like, okay, well, what I'm going to talk about?
Yeah.
You know, and you got these big hitters coming, and that's what he decided would happen.
I want you to go back to that moment, the phone call that we had. Do you remember what happened that led to you even come on the podcast? Because it came with a rejection first. You came as like, I know you want to have me on the podcast, but I don't know when I'll be able to come on. What happened and what state of mind were you in?
I was in a dark place. I was uploading content every week. And my page was growing, but monetarily it was tough, you know, and then your own life stuff. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, you know, I'm going to just take a little break, feeling defeated for whatever. It could have been hormones too. I don't know. But it was dark, and I might have sent you a text.
You sent me a text.
But it sounded a little cryptic.
It sure did.
It was like, I don't know when it was kind of dramatic. I don't know when I'm going to be back. You know, you going to be all right. Forget about me. In so many words, and then you might have called. And
I did.
Yeah.
And you ignored it because you was at work.
Yeah.
And you said, I'll call you when I get off work. I said, what is this girl going through?
I know.
What was you
life.
going?
Life. Finance, you know, just stuff.
So you're going to take a break, and in your mind, it was indefinitely? You're going to come back whenever?
Well, you know, the moments can feel a little dramatic. You like, I'm going to make people miss me that ain't even concerned about me. I'm going to take a fast. Miss me. Nobody ain't thinking about you. Lord, help me in this depression. You know, but you go back and forth.
You say you're going to make people miss you that ain't thinking about you?
You think about it. You know, I was like, nobody ain't thinking about you. But you feel like that when you deactivate. They going to miss these jokes. I'm like, welcome back a month later. Like,
I took a sabbatical.
Right. Exactly. No, but that was the idea. I was just going, because, you know, you have to show up for social media.
Yeah.
And I just didn't have the enthusiasm. So I was like, this podcast, I know you want to do it, but we can do it next season. And so that was my mindset. But you was like, nah, we're going to put you on a flight tomorrow. It's like, I got to meet this man when I'm half depressed. What? Lord, give me a smile.
And me and you ain't never met each other. We knew each other via social media, and we would talk and all that stuff. Yeah. But we never ever met face to face. We were just real cool, like brother and sister. But we just never met. And so when I heard that, I was like, because when you got off work, you couldn't even utter words. I was like, is she crying? What's going on? And you're just like, I'm tired.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, listen, can you come to Dallas tomorrow? And I paused to wait. And he was like, yeah, I can do that. I said, okay, cool. We're going to do this episode Sunday.
Yeah.
We're going to shoot this episode Sunday. I need you to get to Dallas so you can get around this positive energy. And then I said, I believe God is going to do something that's going to change your life forever.
You did.
And you said, I'm going to lean on your faith because right now I don't have any.
Yep. I remember that.
When I say that's what we all need, we need friends that when your faith isn't sufficient in this moment, you can lean on their faith.
Absolutely.
There's a story in the Bible where it was a great battle going on. and they held up Aaron's arms to fight the I don't even want to make it up, say the Amalekites. That sound good, but y'all go look it up.
People.
Sound like somebody, you're going to call them the people. They was fighting the people. And every time hold on, I don't want to mess up the Bible because it's going to be somebody, I got a lot of Bible scholars.
Amen.
Was it, who was
We
fighting?
should know that too.
Yeah, we should know that. Who was fighting? Deangelo?
We love the Lord.
Who was fighting? Holding up arm. It was Aaron holding.
That would have been
arms of Moses. So it was Moses in the battle.
I thought it was.
Held up his hands to fight the Amalekites.
Okay.
Boy, y'all better understand. Let me tell you something. Yeah. So Moses held up his hands to help the Israelites win the battle against the Amalekites. And so Aaron and Hur went to the top of the hill. And so it was Aaron and Hur. And every time Moses' hands got tired, he would drop his arms. They would hold his hands up. When he dropped his arms, the Amalekites would be defeating the Israelites. And then when they held his hands back up, they would come and overcome. The Israelites would start winning. Wow. And so we need people in our lives when we can't hold up our own arms. We got friends that lift our arms up for us. And what was so interesting, how intentional God was. Yeah. What was the phrase you were saying before your wig fell off?
God won't disappoint you.
God won't disappoint you.
I thought I had something there too. I was really going to take it.
You was going to preach?
I felt like it. I really did. I was like, because you build it up. Like God, that was literally what I was going through though. God won't disappoint you because people say, God can't disappoint you.
Yeah.
But in real life, you feel disappointed in moments, and that's where I was going, but he didn't want me to. Yeah, he said, my child.
So he said, God snatched your wig?
He sure did. I think an angel was back. He said, God, on 3. 1, 2. They said, hallelujah. And I said, oh my God.
Oh my God. People don't understand. You was like, oh, you gonna keep the N word in there? You was like, oh my God, these people gonna know I say nigga.
I know.
You was like, ooh. I said, Whitney, church folks say that. You like, but they don't know if I say it.
I know. A little squeaky. It's like, I do say that word, y'all. That word was a sentence that day. It really was.
When I say people, I be at church, people stop me and they say, nigga.
I know.
They do that to you?
Yes. Profound people. And they be whispering. I'm like, you can say it out loud too. It's your moment too.
What you say? Profound people? Very
people
prestigious people. People of stature. People of anointing.
Yeah. Amen.
And that was so cool. And so what happened in that moment is God took what could be an embarrassing moment.
Yeah.
And again, I thank you for your humility to say, okay, Lateris, go ahead and post it. Because I said, I got to keep it in. I keep authentic moments in my podcast. Yeah. And I said, can I do this? And you was like, what do I look like? And I said, I'm going to do something I never do. I allow people to view the episode before I drop it. I went into that room. I said, here, watch it. And I said, I want you to be comfortable with it. And you looked, you was like, well, I surrender to the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
And God, the episode dropped. I led with a very serious reel about you going through therapy and all that.
I remember that.
And it did a little bit something. It wasn't no much, that much traction. Somebody else posted the wig falling off. And I called you and I said, Whitney, can I have permission to drop this reel? You said, drop it. I dropped it at 8 o'clock. 3 hours later, it had 300,000 views. And by that morning, it had 1 million plus. And it just, everybody was posting it. Snoop Dogg posted, got 16 million views in the weekend. Crazy. The Shade Room posted it. Neighborhood Talk. Everybody started posting it. All these celebrities was posting it. People was doing parodies off of it. We got a call from E-News. You did an interview with Mario Lopez about it. They talked about it on the Sherry Shepherd show. It's just doors just kept opening up. What was so interesting, because you were in a moment of depression. It's just a moment of depression due to finances. And in 24 hours, we end up landing a 5-figure deal with the wig company that of the wig that you was wearing.
Sure did.
Isn't that crazy?
Wild.
Let me tell y'all something real quick.
Moments.
the company left a comment under the YouTube video and said, if y'all want to know how to pin down your finger comber wig, y'all getting some free pub right now again. Finger comber wig. I'll be going live to show y'all how to pin it down. I called Whitney. I said, Whitney, these people trying to get clout off your wig. That ain't even the same wig. And what did you say?
It is.
And
It was.
And I said, Whitney, how would they know that? You was like, well, I don't know. He said, I've been reaching out to these people for the last few months to no avail, no response, whatever. And I said, well, let's see if they respond to me. Called them on the phone. I DM'd them. They gave me the number and called me 5 minutes later. Inked the deal, and you did a brand deal with them for the last 3 months. What did that show you about the miraculous hand of God?
I think it's just his sovereignty in all things. Because I was reaching out to them earlier that year because my following was growing, and I'm like, okay, I'm researching how to be an entrepreneur, reaching out to brands, do your own work, shoot your shots, and I'm like, maybe that paragraph wasn't good enough. Let me do it again, But they saw it, and then it started your management over me because I was managing myself.
Yep.
So I was like, you trying to manage me? He was like, I thought I was already doing that. I was like, say less. Hallelujah.
We had fun. We did a whole lot of stuff, which was interesting about even Deangelo. No, I ain't going to take us back all the way there. I'm going to go back and say, because I was going to talk about how when I was managing, how he used to be around, but we wouldn't let people know how he was around.
Yeah.
But we're going to back up and find out. During that time, that episode dropped October the 5th of 2022. She recorded that episode in studio that Sunday, October the 12th of 2022. Where were you at? She was in the state of a moment of depression. Where were you at during that time?
Well, so we just talked about this. I literally just thought about what I'm about to say. But so at the time that you were down, I was actually going through my own struggle. I had just gotten out of a relationship with a girl that I had dated for, I think we were dating for about 2 years. And tried to make it work, just didn't work out. And I ended up going back home for Thanksgiving. I know that this is the time frame because of this. So I went back home for Thanksgiving. And my cousin saw me and she saw that I was down, and she asked me a question. She said, if there was anybody out there who you feel like would be a good fit for you, who would that person be? And I'm not making this up. I promise you, I brought up my phone and I typed in JustWhiti and I showed her your page. And you were the only person that I showed. And I was like, it's something about this girl. Like, it's something about this girl. And I feel like if we could just connect somehow, things will work,
So had you been reaching out to her prior to this?
So I DM'd her before. I had DM'd her before. And I had saw some of her stuff online. I was like, oh, this girl's funny. She's cool. She seemed dope, whatever. So I shot my shot like,
how'd you do it?
Low key shoot your shot. I don't remember what did I say the first time.
Pull up. I want you to go. I want you to find it.
Let's check what you said.
Because I'm trying to see did you come direct or did you try to come like on some business stuff?
So his first direct message was March of 2022. And he's talking about...
Look up. He's trying to read.
He's talking about the music I was listening to.
Oh, it was on a reel or something? What music?
So 24 Hour Story, I was listening to The Winans.
Oh.
And I was just jamming, and he responded.
What'd he say?
And so he was like, guess we like the same music. Got them all, with a smiley face. So I actually responded to, oh, wow. Oh, that was a little dusty. So his first message from March 7th, he got a response November 21st of 2022. Oh, he was talking to yourself
Like,
a little bit.
what did I say? Like, what are you responding to?
Yeah.
You said he hit you up in March of 2022 and you didn't respond to when?
November 21st of 2022. Oh, I'm sorry.
How many times did he respond to you? I mean, how many times would he
Only 3. So it was March, then it was November 9th, then November 21st. So he got some pride about himself. That was
No, these are all in response to stories though.
Yeah,
FYI.
and I didn't.
So what was the story? So what else he say?
So I just said thank you, and I believe that was to the music one. So eventually he shot his real shot April 14th, 2023.
Okay,
and it's a paragraph. And he said,
Go ahead and read. Go ahead and read. I don't even know what I'm scared.
wait, let me see. Let me scan this one because this might not. Oh, this is when you was in Nashville and you invited me to go out. He invited me to go out.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, cool.
But I ain't responded to that either. So
You didn't respond?
I didn't.
Well, I got to hear
respond.
it. Just read it.
Go ahead and read. I'm just
You gonna read it. And
Okay,
what
this
year
is
this?
first little paragraph. Hey, Whitney, I've been watching your content for a while now and love your consistency and your lack of compromise. I want to introduce myself and throw my name in the interested hat. I'd really like to get to know you. Anyway, I'll be in Nashville soon and we'll be down to grab coffee or lunch. Just let me know. So
all right. Just shot my shot a little bit. I'm gonna be out there.
Yeah,
Whatever.
you're right.
You know.
And so you had this on again, off again relationship for 2 years? Because like when was this, Deangelo?
About on
so
again.
I started engaging. That's so bad.
She wasn't feeling me like that.
No, I'm talking about the girl you said you was dating for 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah. No. So
Okay.
yeah, so I ended up getting out of that in October of 2022.
Yeah.
And then that right there is what, 2022?
Yep, November. So that's when I shot my shot in November.
Yeah.
Yep. Shot my shot in November.
He said he's coming out shooting
I
after.
might as well. I'm like,
And
hey.
so what did you think? So let me just level set what
Yes.
be going on.
Yes.
Whitney be getting DMs a lot by a lot of dudes. Now, like I said, I used to manage her, so I be knowing what be in her DMs.
Well,
People be trying to fly out. People be wanting to play basketball with her.
this is true.
People be wanting to kick it with her, hang out with her. Celebrity people. All of them.
Yeah.
What made you, first of all, why didn't you respond to those people?
Well,
Because you're looking for somebody. You're desiring to be married. Why wouldn't you respond to them and just see what they're talking about?
activity doesn't mean quality.
That'll preach.
Just because it's a lot of, it doesn't mean, you take it out and you're like, oh no, keep that going in the ocean. And you're like, oh, nope. So that's a real thing. And it kind of is a little discouraging, especially having a big following because people be like, why are you single? This is ridiculous. And you like, why am I single? This is ridiculous. I don't know. So that's a real thing. But the Lord preserved me. Amen. My mom actually gave me a word. Shout out to my mom. She gave me a word when I
love
was.
her. She's so cool.
She really is. When I was down, and she was like, the Lord is preserving you. He's keeping you from, harm and different things. And I'm like, Mom, I don't want to be jelly. Like what flavor, Father? Because this is giving bitter. This is giving bitter this season, But I'm grateful. I'm so grateful.
I ain't gonna come back and say you grateful.
I am.
Church
but
folks
you
aren't
be
gonna try to make it better. I'm grateful.
in hindsight, but during, like.
So you said, so what made you respond to him? So when he asked to go out, what did you say?
So I didn't respond. So our action started. This is terrible. I don't know. I'm so happy he was persistent.
Yeah.
So he reached out because he has a company, and he reached out to go live. So he put his questions he was gonna do, a whole line of questions. He was gonna give me a really good.
Because she asked for it, by the way.
This is true.
She asked for what?
Or your assistant asked for it.
Which is your mama now.
I know. My mom-in-law.
Yeah, mama. Yeah. So he was gonna give me a really good honorarium to go live. So it was a no-brainer.
Really good. Really good.
Yeah.
So would you have typically done that with anybody else, or you were trying to prove a point with her?
I was trying to prove a point. I was like, look.
Like, well, he got some money on him.
Hey.
That's not a bad thing.
Yes.
That's not a bad thing.
And so what month was that?
Ooh,
I don't know.
that's actually a good question. I don't know the month, but I could tell you the chronological order.
Let's talk.
So my mom was like, because his business is centered around freedom, free by truth,
Like addiction.
Yeah.
addiction, overcoming pornography, masturbation. So he wanted to include that in the live, a question around that. And I'm like, I haven't talked about that in my audience or, So he wrote out an outline and all the things. And he was like, okay, we don't have to talk about that. But then I'm like, I don't know if I could trust him because it's live. So that email just went into the abyss. It went into the abyss.
See how Whitney be having trust issues?
Lord
That's
help.
why I said it
Lord
takes an act of God to get her attention. So you can't even get on the live that you're paying for.
Jesus, help us. I'm so grateful. And
Keep-
so, yeah.
Go back to grateful.
Yep. And so then he became a subscriber because I had subscribers. And
$5.
$5.
That's all it took.
And I communicate with my subscribers when I had it. And so we just started talking.
Mm-hmm.
And then what made you give him attention?
Well, it's a little long journey.
Yeah.
So we started getting to know each other just through questions. And so then he shot a shot again.
Yeah.
He was really direct.
What do you say?
You remember?
I said
What'd you
something
say,
like,
Deangelo?
I said something like,
Yeah, paraphrase.
I know there's a bunch of people trying to hit you up or whatever.
Yeah, she
but-
read this to me before.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was like, listen, I just want to, I ain't even trying to shoot the half course. I'm just trying to do a layup right now. I just want you to get to know me. I remember saying that. I just want you to get to know me.
Yeah. Yeah.
You found it?
It was a couple paragraphs.
Read
Wow,
it.
we really putting you out.
What?
Yeah, that's good. I need to see.
Hey, y'all need
No,
to see
give,
how
give, it to, give it to Deangelo. Read it. I want to hear it in your
let me
voice like
get
it's a
it.
movie. Go ahead.
Oh, all right. Oh, yeah, that's after I shot the shot. So, okay, this is what I said. Ugh.
Ooh, that's long, babe.
Ugh.
Go ahead. Tell
All right,
me.
here you go.
You know how to write. Be a writer.
Stop. Okay, here you go. So I said, I know there's only so much you can really know about a person through social media, but I have to say you seem legit. I can tell that there's depth to you and your relationship with Jesus seems authentic. I'd imagine with your platform, you get a lot of dudes shooting full court shots at you, and I'm sure you have to be selective about who you give your time and your attention to. I'm the same way. So I'm not going for the full court shot today. I'm just going to lay it up and see if you'd be open to simply getting to know me with no strings attached.
Yeah.
It can even start here on IG through DM. And if that goes well, then maybe we can graduate to a call. He says, I know it can be risky giving people access, but I think this might be one of those times when the reward is worth the risk.
Talk, Deangelo. Let them know.
It says, you're a dope person, and I like to think that I'm pretty cool myself. I say that humbly. If you're open to it, I'll make it easy to start the conversation. Tell me about a recent experience when someone made you smile.
Listen. Deangelo.
Is that game?
Deangelo.
Was that all right?
Deangelo.
Was that all right?
King.
I know.
King.
I know. That's so good, ain't it?
Yeah, why I'm getting emotional? Hold on.
Aw,
Listen.
that's so good.
That is perfect. What did she say after that?
Well,
Crickets.
What?
I hate it here.
Crickets.
Wait, how long?
No, wait a minute. Hold on now. Crickets. So that was 2 days. Now, the reason why it's crickets is because we were DMing back and forth every single day.
Yeah.
Every single day.
And then she stopped
And
responding.
this was a
Stop
direct.
responding.
This was a 3-paragraph. So this was what was going on my part.
Okay, let's hear this.
So throughout our interaction, I would go to his page, and I just wasn't impressed.
Why?
I was not attracted to how he presented, online. I couldn't gauge personality.
Yeah.
You go to my page, you get sense of humor, you get pictures, and he loved the Lord, but you want to be
Preaching.
attracted.
Yeah, I'm just,
He was just very blah.
yeah, just whatever.
Well, yeah, because
I ain't trying to impress nobody.
around his page too, which is
Yeah.
like reaching out to
You
people
can't
who
be like
struggle with
smooth,
addiction.
like,
Are you talking about that's what his
talking
page is all about?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, well, God, this your son.
Dang.
But I wasn't. That's just honest.
Dang.
That's honest. So then I didn't respond because I'm like, whoa, he's put together and he. So
I'll read the next part. So it says, I had to apologize. I'm like, hey,
Jesus, help. They gonna be going in on me in the comments like, that's why people single now.
That's exactly. I'm like,
Jesus,
that's why I had to eat some.
Jesus help us. That's why people single. I know.
Go ahead.
So I
Go
ate
ahead,
some humble
Deangelo.
pie. I was like, hey, if I stepped out of line at all, I apologize. I've always been a believer in going after what I want in life, and I've
Facts.
done well in life because of it.
Yes.
If you're not in a place to get to know me for any reason, I'll respect that 100%. I never want to be able to make you, I never want anyone to feel uncomfortable. But then catch this, I says, I also don't want to assume that you are disinterested.
There it
So
is.
I'll throw one more option out there. It says, you can ask me any question that you like to know about me. Nothing is off limits. I'm an open book. If you're in a space where you're closed off to the idea, then you don't have to respond, and I'll leave it there.
Deangelo.
That's a whole man, ain't it? That's
a
a whole
grown
man.
man. You understand me?
Come on, somebody.
Deangelo,
He did
that's
that.
how you do it. Just do it classy. If it's
did
not
that.
reciprocal, it's okay. I'm
Yeah.
not going to assume one thing. I ain't going to assume nothing else. I'm saying, hey, just ask me a question.
Yeah.
Just give me an opportunity to get to know me. If you just don't want to get to know me at all, then I'm not finna force myself on you.
And it's important for men to understand that, you know, a rejection is not anything that has to do with like who you are as a person. Like I was very confident and secure in
For
who I
sure.
was. You know what I mean? I'm like, listen, if you don't like me, that's you know, I don't want to say it's your loss, but you know what I'm saying? It's like, well, somebody else is out there. I agree.
And I'm
said it
grateful.
would've
You
been.
might- yeah.
He said, I
Amen.
agree. He
God
said, I
made me
agree.
for you.
I'm
made
grateful
me
for you.
So I did respond to that. I said, hey, thanks for your honesty and space you've created for expression. I'm not interested in you that way. So then he said, no worries. I appreciate your response. Well, if you still, you still have a supporter in me. So I said, I appreciate that. I don't mind conversing still. Definitely don't want to abort the convo, laugh out loud. If you still want to chat, no pressure. How'd your relationship with Christ begin? And so that's when we began to get to know each other.
I was like, you're saying there's a chance. That's all I heard.
I know.
You're saying there's a chance. Give me an inch. I'll take that inch.
I'm telling
Give
you,
me
and
that
this is
out.
what I'm talking
He
about. I'm
did.
glad that we didn't even plan to go in
Sure
this.
didn't.
I love this.
Yeah.
I love this. Thank you, Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Because you said something. This is what a healed person says.
Come on.
Rejection is just redirection.
Come on.
The reality is, I can't be mad at you if you can't receive me. I know who I am. Deangelo said, listen, I know who I am.
Come on.
It's going to be your loss. I ain't going to say it's your loss, but it's going to be your loss because I know what you get when you get
Quality,
me. That's what
yes.
Deangelo said.
Yes.
And he said, and it's cool. It's cool. I ain't mad at you. I'm still going to support you.
And that's a whole man. Because I wasn't I was like, well, he going to abort.
Forget you then. I don't care.
Unsubscribe,
That's why
this is it.
you over here talking about these videos, you single, you going to stay single. You know?
Oh, for sure. Yes. Might get disrespectful.
Exactly. That's how dudes do when they get
Yeah.
rejected. These broken, toxic masculinity dudes that they out at the grocery store and a woman asked, you know, a woman passed you asked for a phone number. She said no, and you cuss her out. Stop that. I come against that spirit right now. Stop that.
Yes.
Be a whole man to where
Amen.
you can say, and you're still beautiful and going about your business.
Amen.
It's like I can't stand that. And a lot of women have told me that they feel obligated to give a guy their phone number because a dude will call their number right there to make sure it's the right number. And if not, then they could suffer abuse or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? That's absolutely crazy. So
Terrible.
stop that. That's why I have to salute you, Deangelo, for being a real man and actually said to her, and I'll still support you.
He sure did.
He said, you know, ask me any question, do all this talk.
Yep.
And then you decided to ask a question. Why did you lead with that question about his relationship with Christ?
Because I love origin stories. And you get to hear, you know, wherever it started. And it usually starts with testimony. Then you can understand their faith and how they relate to God. And so we got into deep conversation.
Yeah.
And the reason we met was he was like, I'm going to be in Nashville. I have some great ideas for your business. I would love to discuss with you. I had just became a full-time entrepreneur that year. Seek ye first the kingdom of God. Come on, because if I wouldn't have quit, I wouldn't have had a need to meet him.
Yep.
I would have still been doing brand deals, XYZ. So he was like, I'll give you 3 options to meet me if you open to it. He was like, we can play one-on-one. I'm like, nah, too intimate. He was like, my friends are having a game night. You're invited. I'm like, I'm not trying to meet your friends. Then he was like, pickleball. So I was like, oh, that's, public space. And if I don't like him, I could dip, if it's weird. So yeah, so he dropped his number. I did not exchange numbers because I'm like, I don't know if I want to continue. But when I saw him, I was like, you look a little different. You look a little different in real life. It's 4D. That's 4D.
It's 4D.
Yeah, that's handsome 4D.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
But don't get me wrong. I made sure I was, put together. Make sure I had to.
Well, how did you feel leading up to that moment when she said, "Okay, let's go to pickleball"? What went on in your mind?
I was like, I'm about to meet JustWhiti.
Yeah,
I'm about to meet JustWhiti. So I was like, so what I was thinking though, so I'm strategic. I'm very strategic.
He's very
right?
strategic. Yes.
Very strategic. So I'm like, okay, I got my homeboy, a good friend of mine, he and his now wife. I got them together. They were going to play pickleball with us. They're awesome people, so I know she would enjoy herself with them. Thinking through all of this stuff, and then I'm like, okay, Like, this is my first encounter with her. She might be out there. We're going to be out in the sun in Nashville. I'm like, she's probably going to get thirsty. So let me go to the grocery store and grab something to drink. So I go to the grocery store, grab my waters for everybody. Everybody's cool, right? And I was like, man, she probably going to be hungry too. Then I was like, wait a minute. I'm going to ask her to go to lunch afterwards. So I'm going to make sure she's hungry at the end. I ain't going to get these Nutri-Grain bars or whatever. I'm like, I want her to be hungry. So I was like, I ain't getting no snacks. So we're going to get the water and she's going to be hungry at the end. So she can say, so that's what happened. Yeah. That's what happened. So
did it work?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. She was hungry.
Yeah.
That's the key to a woman's heart.
So what made you extend the date?
Well,
so it wasn't a date though.
Okay, it was just
that was a thing because his friends was like, "What y'all getting into?" And he was like, "We got a business meeting." So I was like, "Oh, you respectful." Because that's the opportunity to be like, yeah, I'm about to, we're about to kick it. Like, no. But he was like, business meeting. So I was like, okay. So the next day, which is one of his rules that he teaches men, the next day he invited me to a football game. So when you go into a situation, always having a plan for the next meetup for the woman you're with. So he invited me to, but everything felt platonic. But I was like, he's a good guy. That was one thing I tried not to overanalyze when I was meeting. I'm like, this is good. Let me just keep it general. This feels good. And that's what I could identify after we met.
So when you met him, after you went home, after the first encounter, you just still felt platonic? It wasn't a little hint of, because you said in 4D.
It was an attraction, though.
Okay, so it was attraction. You said, I find him attractive, but I'm not going to put expectations around it. We friends.
Yes. ...
What?
So you know how men, well, you don't know how men, but men could treat you in a way that's flirty, that's sexual.
Yeah.
And he didn't.
Yeah.
Because he respected my boundary.
That's right.
So that's why I felt platonic. So for me, I mean, he opened the door, he paid for everything, still a gentleman. But for me, I didn't have like signals like a regular man would. Because he was respecting.
Yeah. Because you done killed it. You done told him at the very beginning.
I know. R.I.P. Yep. So the next day when he left for New York, I talked to my big sister and she was like, he don't think you interested? I was like, nah. She was like, you got to change the narrative. I'm like, how, Sway? She like, you got to tell him you interested. I'm like, I felt about 5 years old. I'm like, no way, Jose. And so the next conversation, and this happened throughout the entire relationship, the next conversation, he was like, I know you said you weren't interested before, but after meeting, did anything change?
Thank you, Deangelo.
Four shots, bro.
Deangelo.
Shot number 4.
Deangelo, what you say to him?
Shot number 4.
He got a J.
He
got a J in real life, but he got an emotional J.
So before you could even say that, he said it?
Yes.
And then what did you say?
I said, yes, I am interested. But my feelings was changing. It's like, ooh, I got a crush a little bit. 30s. I'm in my 30s crushing.
Whitney, why are you so silly?
I don't know. Yeah.
So when you said that, was that hard? Because like we talked about in the first episode that you did, you had been going through therapy. You've been processing, like a lot of women felt like they would be married by the age of 30.
For sure.
At that time, you're 30, 33?
Yeah.
You're 33 and you feeling these butterflies.
I'm 34.
You were 34 then?
Yep.
And so you feeling these butterflies and you like, oh, I got a crush in my 30s, which is a vulnerable thing to respond and say yes.
Yeah.
What made you decide to take that leap and put language behind these feelings?
I think it's the tone that was set throughout the whole thing. We always had breath within our relationship. And what I mean by that is I'm not stamping you my husband.
Yes.
He not stamping me his wife. So he would always say, well, friendship is good enough for me.
But did you really mean that?
I meant that.
You really meant that?
That's how I was able to be the way that I was. It's like, well, I can go for a friend.
He had a good surrender.
Yeah. Okay, I'll be your friend.
He had a good surrender.
He did.
Yeah.
So now let's unpack that.
Okay.
You saw her as what initially? Because you showed your friend this picture and said, this is a type of woman I would want. That wasn't the type of woman you want as a friend.
That's right.
So you saw that you start recalibrating your emotions and your feelings based upon her response, or were you still resolute in saying, I'm going to start on friendship, but I believe like Steve Urkel did to Laura, I'm wearing you down.
I'm wearing you down, right? So it's kind of like both ways. So the way that I approached my relationship or my pursuit of a relationship was God got me. Like no matter what happens, God got me, right?
Amen.
So if it's not her, it's okay. If it's her, fantastic. But if it's not, it's okay. So no matter what happens, God got me. But I know that he works in mysterious ways. And sometimes stuff be happening for reasons that you don't know in the moment. And the fact that she responded to me at all, and the fact that we were able to connect, and there's more to this story than we're not even telling you. There's actually people who are like crazy. Well, no, there are people who are like very influential individuals who just out of nowhere came into our lives. And that's actually a part of how I was even in Nashville. I was supposed to meet somebody, like a big name individual. And it then turned out that I didn't even meet with that person, but I was able to meet with her. Instead.
Wow.
So that was his reasoning for being there.
Yeah. So I was just
that's
like
crazy. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Really interested. Like God must be doing something, but I'm just gonna let him do it. Right. I'm not trying to force nothing or like, so I just did that. And here we are, And
that's why you keep saying surrender.
Yeah. And you have to do that. You have to do that in relationships. It's so many nuances within relationships that you don't know till you know. Mm-hmm. With healing, with learning how to process yourself. He's a really whole, healthy man in a lot of ways that I wasn't. And he healed me in a lot of ways that I didn't know. Like we'll be on the phone. I remember early on, he asked me, he was like, how can I make you feel safe getting to know me? And I was like, oh, Lord. First off, I don't even know that answer. Second off, I'm crying. So I'm silent, And it was moments like that. I remember we got into a disagreement the first time. And he was like, before we got off the phone, how can I support you? I'm here. I'm here for you if you want to talk. I'm like, this is foreign. You're supposed to be upset, but that love and humility heals, so.
Yeah. And I think it's also important to say, first of all, she's worth it. I mean, I'm happy to be as supportive as I can because she is worth it. Like this, she's as great as everybody thinks she is. So, but also I think that in relationships, I think that for the person who is right for you, they are graced for whatever difficulty, whatever things you might consider as baggage, they will be graced to go through that with you. And I believe that was the case for us.
Deangelo, teach. I say that all the time because the reality is they always say you're never too much for the right person.
Right.
They'd be like, oh, that's no big deal. I got you. You be like, well, everybody else left me. I said, what? Not everybody else.
Mm-hmm. Come on.
And Whitney walked with me through my breakup, my heartbreak. I did a whole episode called Healing from Heartbreak, but Whitney had the opportunity to talk on the phone with the woman and whatnot. And so she was happy and supporting my relationship as it was budding and all that stuff and here my relationship. So that ended December. You didn't respond to him until we're talking about 2023. Mm-hmm. So it was 2023 where y'all started actually connecting. Yeah. But after coming out of my situation and so it was like, and Whitney, I was saying she's a tough cookie. So Whitney was one of those people, as I was working with her, I was like, she's such a solid woman, but she is so guarded. You know what I'm saying? It's so guarded. And I'm like, how does somebody ever get to her? I had homeboys that was trying to shoot their shot at her. I'll be like, hey, I introduce you, but it ain't gonna go nowhere. You know what I'm saying? It just ain't going nowhere. I just didn't understand what it was about her. Yeah. But I did know that she genuinely wanted to be loved properly. Yeah. I always knew that she wanted to be married. How to get there, it takes a unique person to actually get there with her. And I didn't know the code to get there. So that's why I love talking to you. And because I saw how she just started, relaxing in you, and started getting soft with you and start, opening up that whole Fort Knox around her heart and said, all right, I'm gonna give you an entry port in my life. When he said that moment about, what was that statement he just said? where he said, how can I, when y'all in the arguments, because most time in arguments, stuff fall apart. You know what I'm saying? That sometimes people look at that as a telltale sign that we ain't the right one for each other because we had a disagreement.
For sure.
What did he say in that moment, or why with what he said in that moment of how he can support you in this moment? You never experienced that before. What did that heal in you?
You know, I think it healed space, someone creating space for me. And he's really good at that, creating space that seems like shouldn't exist because people don't have it, you know, for whatever reason. It's usually hurt. But I remember another conversation we had, and I was hearing him through a broken ear. And so when I got home, I was like processing all this stuff that I heard him say. And this
I want reference. What was said? Because I need people to be able to understand how we hear one thing, somebody says this, and you heard it through a broken ear.
I just found it because I'm still moving.
I don't know.
Yeah, I just found a note. But one of the notes I said wrote down was, he said, "I don't care about your following." And someone can hear that and be like, "Oh, he don't care about your following." But then I took it broken, like, "Oh, I haven't worked for nothing. Like, you trying to downplay my following?" Which is wild. But it was points like that.
Yeah.
And at this time, I was really gauging if I could even be in a healthy relationship. Like I was journaling with myself. I would invite the Lord. I'm like, you know, one of my notes, which is really, really real, was I don't know if I'll be able to be loved. I'm waiting. I said, I'm waiting on D to walk out like a lot of people do. And so,
okay.
Yeah, that's real. So within that, I was like, okay, well, if I want a healthy relationship, I should probably take these points to him. And so I asked him, I was like, you know, I wrote down some things. You mind if we go over them? He was like, sure, you know. So I wrote down each thing or read it. And he was like, oh my God, I didn't mean that. When I said that, I meant this. You know, and I had a choice to believe him and believe wholeness or stick to brokenness. And I just believed him. I was like, everything don't have to be so hard. You know? So that was huge in healing my heart. Because usually you bring stuff to people and they like, you doing too much. You writing down this stuff. We talked about this yesterday, last week, you know? But he was like, no, let's fine tune.
I ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
I remember saying that I ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
Why did you make up in your mind that you weren't going anywhere, Deangelo?
I believe love is worth fighting for. Love is worth fighting for. And I saw something in Whitney. Like, once we started engaging and started going down this path of relationship, I'm like, I don't want to lose her. And your mess, the stuff you're going through right now, that ain't nothing for me. Like I can handle that. And I think that if we hang out long enough, it's going to heal you. Your heart is going to be able to trust me the way that it needs to. But I'm not going nowhere. You're expecting me to leave and I ain't going nowhere. I'm right here. I'm right here.
That's good. That was him.
So let me ask you this, Deangelo. Without throwing shade on past relationships, had you been in that experience before where you dealt with a woman that was trying to sabotage the relationship and you kept trying to hold on too long to somebody that you should have let go a long time ago? Or were you not this emotionally aware man in the past, and when a woman said, hey, listen, I don't think this is going to work, you're like, it's fine, bye.
Yeah,
who were you back then?
That's a good question. You know, and to be honest, I'm the type of that's the type of person that I am. And I'm not gonna lie. I believe in working for love. And if you see the hints of the characteristics that you look for in a person, it's worth trying to make it work, because dating is hard in general.
Facts.
Like, it's hard to connect with people who you have certain things in common with, let alone, a lot. So, I have been the type of person in the past where if things aren't going too well, I'll fight a little bit longer than most people would, because I believe in that.
Right.
But there is a point at which I'm just like, you know what? You're probably right. After a certain amount of times or a certain amount of examples of like incorrect behavior, it's like, no, at that point, it's like, no. But with her, it wasn't like that. It was more like I could almost sense that there was this part of her that wasn't okay with opening up to me yet, because my behavior was not, it wasn't justified. I mean, it wasn't justifying that type of behavior from her. So I was like, man, I'm gonna be here for you. So I see what's going on, and I'm not going anywhere because you're valuable to me. Like I know who you are. I know, and I feel like I hate to be over spiritual, but I really did feel like, man, like you might be the one for me. Like, and I don't believe in the one like that, but I'm like, this one right here, something about you.
Yeah. And what point did that come? Because remember, you were at this place where we friends, we cool. I'm submitted to God. Whichever this go, we can just be good friends, or you could be the one. At what point, what conversation, what date, what prayer, what spiritual advisor spoken to you? What moment made that switch happen?
All of the above. Believe it or not, y'all don't understand. Our story is crazy. Like. So all that stuff, from the words from spiritual advisors, so it's so crazy. So we have so many. We actually have like a document of like these wild moments that were happening throughout the relationship.
We're just like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. So like, so 6 months. I'll shout her out. Her name's Dr. Emily. She's one of the people who work with me with Free by Truth. She helps women who are struggling with like sexual stuff. But anyway, 6 months prior to me meeting Whitney, I received a voice message from her, and she said, the Lord was telling me that he wants to bring you your wife. He wants to bring you your wife. And I just really felt like he put that in a dream, and I just woke up and I wanted to share that. I didn't want to not share this with you while it's fresh. And she was like, he wants to bring you your wife. And she went on with probably like a 3-minute long voice note. And I'm like, when I got it, I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. Because I didn't feel that in my heart right at that moment. And 6 months later, I told her, I'm like, oh, I'm Whitney and I are dating. And she was like, oh, that's so funny. I remember I sent you that voice note. I'm like, what voice note? I didn't even remember, to be honest with you. And I listened to it. I started bawling. I'm like, I can't believe like this stuff is happening. Wow. We've had moments of prayer. There was a moment where we had like prayer time. And
well, first of all, I make skits about worshiping together. This man gonna ask me, you trying to speak in tongues together in prayer?
Hey, I want to know if you about that life or not.
I'm like, I can't say no. That wouldn't be the Christian thing to do. I'm like, this is the most intimate. So we started speaking in tongues. He got full tongues too. It's not like bye. Yeah, like, oh, thank you, Jesus.
Yeah,
it's a different kind of. But no, I mean, we have a list story. We have a lot of different just confirmations along the way, because I feel like the Holy Spirit is faithful that way.
Yes,
to walk you along. Like he coached me. He keeps coaching me. This relationship, no, the Holy Spirit.
Oh,
how I deal with him, because he's God's son first. It's like, I remember like toxic things coming up, and I'm like, I want to be away from you because I don't want to damage you.
You would say that to him?
I don't know if I ever said it out loud, but I would just need time. And he knew I would always come back. Mm-hmm. But I had to process stuff within myself.
So when you would take breaks away, what is it? The day, or is it days?
It wouldn't be a full day.
It's like hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you would, how'd that show up in language? What would you say to him?
Yeah, so depending on what it is, I'll just be like, I wasn't the best. I'll just be like, we can talk later.
And that's it.
Yeah, I might just say, yeah.
And then how would you process that?
At the beginning?
It was a process for
me. At the beginning, I'm like, because I ain't gonna lie, like I've had previous experiences where like when you have to process, that means that things are not going well. That means you're gonna come back and you ain't gonna want to be with me.
Exactly.
So there was a moment at the beginning when it was like that. I'm like, wait a minute, why are you needing to process so much? What's going on within yourself? But then her consistency, she always came back. She always was like, and usually she's like, I thought about it, and she comes back really like sober minded, Yeah. And every time it was that way. So I'm like, man, I realized that there was some stuff inside of me that would bubble up whenever certain things were happening. It was like a fear.
Like rejection and abandonment. Yep.
Absolutely. So I had to learn that, that's not okay. It's healthy to take time away. You want her to do that. And, I stopped having to wince whenever she have to say something like that. I'm like, okay, she'll be back and we'll talk and it'll be good.
But it will always be the same day.
Yep.
Yeah, it wouldn't
Like
go
clockwork.
longer. The Lord really helped me.
Yep.
Because, women can keep attitudes for a long time.
So what made you not take a day or 2 days? You were self-aware enough to say, I ain't finna just leave him out there like that for 24 hours.
Well, when you love someone, you try different things and you go past yourself. You really do go past yourself because, I have a family and sometimes we could just be recluses. When something happens, you just recluse. And you don't really deal with, So I'm like, I'm determined to change the narrative. So I have to show up. And it's interesting when you change, it infiltrates a lot of areas of your life too.
So this whole time, y'all dating in private, not in secrecy. We would do events. He would be my +1 at events.
It's true. Be my assistant.
Yeah, be his assistant at events.
Yep.
We may be sitting at a table. He's sitting at the table on another table. How did you process that, Deangelo? Why didn't you feel offense? Why did you, and I assume that you didn't find offense. So let me ask you, what did you feel in those moments?
Secure.
You did.
And it was because of the way that she was. I trust her.
Tell me how.
I trust her. I know that, first of all, if she goes out someplace and there's people who are interested, like whatever, I've seen it in my own life. Like, hey, she knows how to handle herself. You know what I mean? So like, I don't have to worry about her cheating. I know I trusted her heart. And she, my heart
We
trusts.
communicate about everything.
Yeah.
And plus, you knew how hard it was for you to get to it. You like, most people ain't gonna go through all that. You couldn't get her phone number.
Yeah, like, look.
It's even better.
He's like, I have lived experience.
Yeah, that's right.
Y'all, you shoot your shot if you want to. See how it works out, buddy. I'll put $100 on it.
You got 2 years on you.
Hope you got to go unanswered. Tell me, well,
you got patience.
Yeah, you asked for a phone number this time. You got about another 50 more times by the time we'll be married.
That's right.
And so,
that's good.
Why was it important in that moment? I know you said, you don't want gum, on the wet cement. You don't want hair. You don't want fingerprints in it.
Right.
But how did you feel in those spaces where the love of your life is sitting here spectating on you, doing your thing? Like, did you feel a sense of guilt or anything? Like, what was coming on? How are you processing it?
His security has reigned loudest in our relationship the whole time, right? So when he would show up for me, because I come from a family of beautiful women who are outgoing, and they've experienced a lot of different types of men who try to dim the light or abuse or whatever, and it changes them. So for me, I was about, he has to be supportive. And so seeing him doing my camera, we talking in the small moments, but he just supportive, holding my stuff. It's like his heart is to serve. And it's been that way the whole time. And so I always tell him, I can't wait till you start speaking so I could, do your stuff. And but I've never felt guilty because we always talk about stuff.
Yeah.
And we friends. So it's like,
Were y'all
we be cracking up.
Were y'all making a little game at some point to be like, are we going to go here? We're going to act like this? And
that's so funny. It was kind of hard sometimes not to reveal, because it's like, y'all the dating project, but okay, y'all together all the time.
You traveling with him?
Well,
it's so funny. Like, I'm like, if I was other people watching, I'm like, what you mean? What you
know.
Traveling with you?
I know. What black man gonna do that?
Exactly.
Ain't not one of them. Y'all both single, and y'all just gonna be at Essence Festival together.
That part.
Trying to hook other people with somebody. People like, can y'all start with y'all?
No,
Can this be the first project that y'all go ahead and date with? Were y'all thinking about that in the process? Here y'all are creating this app and the dating project. Did y'all feel like, let me ask y'all, did y'all get people questioning y'all?
In the comments.
Yeah. People always like, oh, y'all should.
I just wouldn't be looking at them.
Yeah.
We just wouldn't say nothing. They be like, is D single? In my mind, I'd be like, nah. Nah, bruh. No. But it was always nice. But yeah.
Have you ever watched a guy like while y'all was at an event come shoot they shot at Whitney?
I've seen some stuff.
Yeah.
I've seen some stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen some stuff, and you know, but again, she always handles herself well. And like, and the cool thing about it is, you know, don't paint me as like the most anything can happen and everything's okay. It ain't like that.
Yeah,
you know, there were moments where it was like, all right, I don't know if I was super comfortable with this right here. So let's talk about this. Yeah, like let's talk about what this should look like going forward. You know, because you got to navigate stuff because people think she's single.
Yeah,
right. So
that
like,
part.
you know, it's like a game. You got.
And no, I think that's a really good point because in a relationship, you have to decide what's boundaries and what's not. And so for me, I hadn't been in a lot of relationships, and I'm just witty when I'm at events. So I'm friendly, I'm myself, and I'm building relationships with professionals and influencers and stuff. And so that line we had to talk about a lot of times, like hugs, what kind of hug, you know, and just different things. And so open communication has been a blessing.
Yeah,
that's good. Was there any moments where you got weary in your well doing, Deangelo, where you was like, man, I don't think this is gonna work because you just ain't getting it?
No, it wasn't like quite like that. There were moments though where I was just like, all right, we got to figure this out though. Like we got to figure this out because, you know, I think the thing about relationships is it requires communication. Like you can't expect somebody to show up the way that you expect them to show up and not have any training. You know what I mean? Exactly. Like she hasn't been in many relationships. Yeah. You know, and she hadn't been in a relationship up until that point, like with someone for as long as she had been with me. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I have to like express what my expectations are. You got something right here? Okay, let me get that. Yeah. All right. Yeah, you gotta express. I appreciate you, baby. Support.
I ain't trying. You look back and be like, dang.
You ain't tell me.
My wife had me out here looking bad.
I know.
But no.
I could remember a moment.
What?
So D wants to get married in our relationship, and I always had resistance to that because he'd be like, you know, what date, what kind of ring?
You had resistance to marriage?
Yeah. Yes. Like, sabotage is a real thing. The Lord stopped me in my kitchen one day and was like, you dealing with sabotage. You have to be strategic with sabotage and processing. So I come from a divorced family. I wanted to be married, but fears, it's like, why am I not excited about marriage? What is that about?
That's good.
And I really had to look at that because you could say you want to be married, but then when it get real, you be like, oh, what is that resistance? And so I remember I planned a date for us because we was going back and forth. And I got us a couple's journal. And his first goal he wanted to write down was the month we'll get married. I'm like, you starting off heavy. And it turned into a whole thing. And for him, it's like simple. It's like he's strategic. And so
we done been through premarital and the whole thing.
Yeah. And so within myself, I was like, you know, I don't want to hold you back. I know marriage is your goal.
You said you want to hold him back?
I want to hold, yes. And
so why would you go through the pre-engage? Because y'all went through premarital before y'all even got engaged.
I know.
So why'd you go through that? Why'd you go through, because essentially that's pre-engagement counseling.
Absolutely.
So why'd you go through that?
Well, you know, when you start counseling, I don't know if I knew the magnitude. Yeah. I'm just being honest. And I hope I could help somebody know the magnitude of stuff.
Man.
But fears is real.
So you went there as a couple and they talking about building the life together.
Absolutely.
But you didn't say, oh, one day.
We got to get married. Because you don't know that timeline.
Yes.
You know you want to be prepared for the ride, but you don't know when they're going to press to take off.
That's real.
You know?
That is so real.
I remember him. He was really passionate at the table and he was really fighting for us. Like, you know, I was like, you know, I don't know if I have that fight inside of me. I haven't seen a lot of people fight for love.
Oh, that's good.
And I felt so awkward and weird. And we just stood in it and we walked to the car and he prayed for us in the car. And I'm like, you're such a good man. You're such a good man. I remember always saying that. And the premarital that we went through was with Pastor Love and Pastor Cece. And I remember her saying, you know, either you're going to have faith or you're going to have fear. That's it. You know, and what does the Bible say? It's always the Bible. And I was like, wow, that's really simple. It don't have to be complex. Fear is like, oh, complex. But it don't have to be. God is love. He's simple. You know, so I feel like that was a moment where he could have been like,
you're on your own.
I was closest right there.
I remember.
Because you basically blessed him to be in the next relationship with somebody else, to be married to somebody else.
I know.
And she had
Sabotage.
never, up until that point, she had never gave me like feedback that said, you know what, I'm okay if this doesn't work out.
Yeah.
Like that actually hurt me. I cried. I actually cried in that moment when we got in the car. I was like, man, because I felt like that was the most distant we had ever been, because for the first time in our relationship, we weren't on the same page. I'm like, did I overcommit? Did I think that something was happening that really wasn't happening? And, you know, for you to be able to say that at that point in the game, after we done been through Premarital and it went so well, I
remember that.
I'm like, what am I?
And I was trying to free him.
So Whitney,
and I didn't want to be free like that.
So Whitney,
I know.
You know what I went through. How would you go do the same thing to him?
Sabotage, again, is ruining people's lives.
So that your mind not think about what I just went through the year prior.
I did not. That's just aligning right now. I did not think about that. It is interesting how fear manifests in different ways. And it's no excuse, but I'm happy that we was always transparent.
Yeah.
And two, brokenness has no limits. If you don't become whole, you be a whole little molecule of broken, just spilled. It's like, when you gonna pick yourself up? And in the moments, I'm so grateful that he was strong enough.
How'd y'all recalibrate from that moment though? Y'all leave off each other, y'all pray, and then what happened?
I came back.
She did come back.
I said
came
what?
Back. I came back and just told him just what I said. I said, I'm not used to people fighting for love.
Yeah.
And when I said this, I didn't mean, I said I felt like I was trying to release you because you're such a good guy. So I explained my sabotage to him. So he'll have a picture of it so we can talk about it. Because that's relationship. You don't even know what's happening, but all I can give language to is what is in my mind. And then we can talk about it and figure out how to get through it.
And when you came back the next day?
I don't think that one was the next day. I think that was like a couple days.
Yeah.
I think that one was.
And you felt like it was over at that point?
I remember that moment. I remember where I was. I was sitting on the couch, and I remember I was crying. We were talking, and I was crying because I'm thinking like the build up is like this about to be it. I'm like, well, here we go again, another failed situation.
Yep.
Back to the drawing board. But it wasn't that way.
I want you to give language to that. Another failed situation, back to the drawing board.
Yep.
I felt that feeling December the 27th of 2022. I recorded that moment on December the 31st of 2022. I released that moment January the 3rd of 2023 as my first episode in 2023. And here you are in that same moment. Your fate was different. Give language so women can hear it and men can feel that they've been heard with what you felt in that moment.
I mean, first of all, I'm just going to say, man, when men want to be married too. We're hopeful, just like women are. You know, that's not just a woman thing. But it's hard out here.
Yes.
It is.
Hard out here. And it's hard for men because you can be out here and you can feel like you're doing all the right things. You're doing everything. You're giving up, you're sacrificing, you're doing all these things. And for it to not be enough, it's like, what am I doing wrong? You know what I mean? Like, how do we make this work? Like, you know, she's perfect. She's perfect. How do I make it work with someone? You know, if I can't make it work with the person who's perfect for me. Now, granted, she's not perfect, but you understand. She's perfect for me.
For you.
Exactly. She's perfect for me. So it's like, man, so it was just very difficult. But in those moments, all you can do is you can trust God. You got to be like, God, I've been faithful. I've done what you've asked me to do. I've been consistent. I've done the work and I'm here now. Yeah. I'm trusting you like I always have. And if this is not supposed to be, I'm going to trust you still. But man, like, come on.
My heart.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you know that men carry that level of weight when it comes to marriage and relationships, Whitney?
You know, I didn't. I didn't until my nephew was born, because he has a desire for marriage.
Your nephew?
Yes, he's 13, but he wants a family. And so I learned a lot through him, because he's a boy growing up, and he don't have no reason to be short through text, but he's just a little man. And I've learned a lot. But then when I met D, he said he had a desire since he was young to be married. And so that's been his mindset his whole dating life, which I feel like it's some men out there, but I don't know how many are wearing that on their chest, you know?
Well, God said he promised me some things. He promised me things that are related to my marriage, you know? You're the fulfillment of that, for real. Like down to your wife is going to be a part of your ministry. Like we're doing a dating project together. I'm like, come on.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Wild.
And see, people be thinking that men don't commit because they have all these options. Yes, there are men that's like that.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of men, especially kingdom-minded men, are literally in seek of their purpose partner.
Absolutely.
And we give it our all when we're in relationship, but we have no control over the outcome of it, which puts us in a very vulnerable state. But after dealing with heartbreak, we have to recalibrate and say, I'm not going to give up on love.
Yes.
God, I know what you promised me, and I thought I heard you in these moments. Why didn't it manifest and end in marriage? What happened? Okay, God, am I not hearing your voice right? What is going on? So we're dealing with all of this because the Bible says he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. That means the onus is on the man to go find. And so it's like, okay, I found her. There's confirmation. Spiritual people speaking into my life. I see all this alignment. I see it all here. Here it is. And then you, due to unhealed trauma, decide to abort the process. And he like, that's why he said something, am I not good enough? See, he didn't say, is she not good enough? He used the same language in which most men are going to use. Am I not good enough? Because if I'm good enough, I could heal her trauma. I could cover her. She would keep leaning into me because she would find a place of solace. She'll find a place of rest with me. She will always come to me. So why is she repelling? Why is she walking away from me if I'm her safety? She said she wanted this. She prayed prayers before she even knew my name, and I'm the manifestation of those prayers. And yet and still she is walking away from her answered prayer. God, I don't understand.
That's it.
Are we here, Deangelo?
Bro.
Are we here?
Absolutely.
Boy, that was it.
That's
exactly.
That's so good.
But the man will carry the responsibility. Deangelo, how old are you?
38.
You 38 years old, ain't married. You don't want nobody. See, that's the problem. See, you Christian men, y'all don't want nobody. Because if you really wanted somebody, you'd be married. You see how many single women there are, how many Christian women there are, and you ain't found nobody. See, the problem is you. The problem is you.
Yep.
And he has to carry that, be like, y'all don't know my story. I tried.
That's so good.
I tried. So,
that's so good.
How did you told him that moment, you've never seen someone fight for love. How did it get to, will you marry me?
Well, after our last session, our premarital session, something clicked in my mind. And I was more intentional. I'm like on Pinterest, like, okay, what kind of ring? Let me be intentional about choosing a ring. Okay, dates, October felt good. Talked to him, he confirmed it, and we literally planned our wedding together. We made it through, small wedding. But it was just like go time.
It was so small, I wasn't even invited. Yep. I'm gonna throw some shade.
Throw it out.
Help us.
Yep.
This
Wait for it.
Yeah, 30-some people, bro.
This
family wasn't even. Some people.
45.
No, it wasn't even 40. We had less than 40 people there.
It was a baby wedding.
Yeah, it was very, very few
infant.
People. Yeah.
No, but
that's good that y'all did that. What made y'all want something so intimate?
I think for me, again, it's just who I know has my back, who I know will be praying for my marriage, who I know I don't have to double take because you're talking about, just all the things.
And people that won't release this out to the public.
Yeah.
And who really happy.
Yeah.
Because everybody not happy.
Yeah, and you need people who are invested in your success, the success of your marriage, you know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who would have been, you know, like we wanted you to be there actually, but it's
What
like,
happened?
man, we had to,
I didn't get the message. My phone worked. Let me see if my phone works. Let me see if
That's so funny.
It's true. It's true.
No, listen, I understand when people, weddings are so expensive, no matter how small or big they are, and whatever the situation is, you know, my whole thing is like, I just love y'all. Like, I don't take stuff personally when people get married. If I'm invited or not, I don't get caught up in that, because I'm going to be the person that's going to be invited to the wedding without an invitation, because I'm gonna be the one that's gonna be praying over y'all. I'm the person that's going to amplify the love that y'all have on the Dear Future Wifey podcast, because I know Whitney, I've gotten a chance to know you, and I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, there is no better person to cover each other's hearts, because it's not just one way, it's reciprocation. That God knows that Whitney has been fashioned to love his son, Deangelo, which you said at the very beginning, said, this is his son. Exactly. So God chose his best for Deangelo and chose his best for Whitney, and that's what he did. And so that's what's so beautiful about it. And so, like I said, I salute y'all. How did it get to, you about to say something?
I was, because you chose. That's the biggest thing in singlehood.
Yeah.
I'm so happy I chose him back. And every time something happens, you have a choice. We're moved by emotions, but you have choices.
Teach.
And you have to know your aim in the dating world. Know your non-negotiables. People don't believe in lists, but we have a testimony about that too. You know, wild testimony.
Share it.
Oh, well, so early, maybe second month talking, because he actually moved to Nashville a month
Oh, yeah,
after
we got to talk about that. So what made you move to Nashville over a month?
He was in NY.
Hey.
You was in New York.
Hey.
He was.
Why'd you move to Nashville in 30 days?
Because I know who she was. I knew who she was. And she was worth it.
And you decided to move.
Deuces to New York. I'll be in Nashville.
Yeah, it was in Times Square.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right in
Was you
Manhattan.
nervous when he decided to move there? Like, I hope you ain't coming down there to think that you here for me, because we still business partners.
Well, we actually was business. We was meeting weekly but it felt good. So I wasn't over complicating stuff. I'm like, well, that's your choice, grown man.
I'm glad she didn't. I was like, yep.
Grown man, we could see each other more regular. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
You see, you like that?
Yep.
Was it professional, or was it still that little romance in there?
Oh no, we was romantic by
It
then.
started growing.
Yeah.
How did you think Deangelo about her being a virgin?
Oh, I loved it.
What you love about that?
I love so that's one I desired. I desired a virgin, you know what I mean? Like, so for a little bit of my story, so, you know, I'm not a virgin. I wasn't a virgin when we got married, but I had kept myself for a long time. I was actually in my late 20s when I lost my virginity, and my objective was to get to that point, but unwise decisions and trying to be grown and stuff took me out of that.
It was
but
hot.
Yeah, it was hot.
Hot in pants.
Yeah, it did. But no, when I connected with her, and I'm just like, I was like, God, like, you've outdone yourself. I didn't think it was possible.
Man, don't feel like that.
I didn't think it was.
Not
I mean, and that's how I'm saying. Like,
Not at all.
I'm not typical like in that way. I'm like, I appreciate the fact that you've kept yourself. I mean, it says a lot of things about you, you know, because I'm sure.
What does it say about her?
Well, first of all, I'm sure she had plenty of opportunities, but it says that she can control herself. It says that I can trust her because she has discipline in that way. And, you know, for me, like, I understand that, you know, on this side now that she was doing that for me. You know what I mean? So I'm like,
Well, for the Lord first.
partially
For the
it's
Lord
a
first. She
gift
didn't want to
to
get
me.
married. She was scared of marriage. So I don't know who's going to get that.
Well,
She going to just save herself for
Answer.
Jesus.
Yeah,
She'll save
there
it
you
for
go.
the Lord.
There you go.
Until she meet
man.
him.
Well, I was there.
Yeah.
Same. And so when you felt that, because at that point when y'all met, you were abstinent, right? Had
Yes,
you committed to
absolutely.
abstinence?
Absolutely.
And so you were abstinent. And so how'd you feel about that when you met him, knowing that y'all were aligned in that?
Well, it was a blessing. And just take stuff off the table. You know, you still have a conversation around sexuality. We had a whole extensive questions we would ask each other.
Good.
Like first round, second round, almost married.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it's really important to even understand how people feel around sex. You know, if they had trauma. With his business, it was like, because people be like, you know, he got a whole business around freedom in these subject matters, is that unattractive? I'm like, no.
No, that's very attractive.
That's a blessing. Because lust is a monster.
Real thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
why would they think that would be negative if he can openly talk about that stuff?
Well, I think it's just shame. Shame around pornography, masturbation, stuff people struggle with.
Yeah.
And it ain't sexy to be the porn guy. You know, helping people with porn. It's like, you talk about porn all the time. You know, it's not sexy. But I will say this, nobody ever says anything negative about it. It's
that's
like everybody's
like
respect. Yeah, that's like.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I said when I hear it, I'm like, that just sounds powerful to me. But I live a very transparent life. And I understand how some people like, what? But that's one of the things that I admired most about you is that you can operate and not only bring awareness to this, but bring deliverance to people that's struggling with it. Because people don't know how much of a struggle pornography has been to men and women. We always hear it about men, but I know a bunch of women that struggle with pornography.
We have more women in our program than we have men.
Really?
100%. 100%.
Wow.
We actually had a whole team of women who are there just to serve the women who are struggling like that. Because I'll just be 100% with you. I'll put y'all on game. So for people who think that this is a man thing and not a woman thing, so what we realize is that, you know, when you ask the question, it's like, hey, do you struggle with porn? More men say yes and more women say no. But the reality is not the right question. If you change the question from being, do you struggle with porn, to do you do anything that is meant to arouse you so that you can get to a point where you can maybe masturbate, all of a sudden the whole conversation changes. Because a lot of women don't think that, you know, reading certain books or watching certain shows like Bridgerton, for example. Yeah. Like we hear that all the time. Like this show is essentially what porn is for men. And when you talk about this from the perspective of like, you know, are you struggling with masturbation? All of a sudden, everybody raises their hand. So this is not a man or women thing. This is a human thing. You know, people struggle with this stuff. So it's just lust.
That's good. That's good. But you found that missional for you. You found like that was having a man whose heart posture is around that. You felt like that was in alignment with what God called y'all to do together?
Absolutely.
Why?
Well, I think honoring the Lord in your dating journey looks like different things to different people. Some Christians don't feel like fornicating is even sin no more. They like, well, I ain't slept with 5 people. It's like, but you sleeping with people, you know? And that's the age we live in. And so to find somebody who talks about holiness, you know, like how can we honor the Lord in our relationship? You know, creating boundaries that are helpful because we're very human.
Right.
And we have human body parts. You know, and sticking to that and striving to please the Lord. It was a blessing for us to experience and trust the Lord in that way.
That's good. There's a lot of myths around, or myths or truths, and I'm going to allow y'all to dispel it or verify. The fact that you were a virgin prior to marriage was the first time of intimacy with one another. Was that like a struggle? Were you like, I was afraid, I didn't want to, and all that stuff? Was that a struggle? What did that look like?
You want to talk about it?
It's up to you to share whatever you like.
I think losing your virginity in your adulthood is quite an experience because your body has never experienced a penis. Well, depending on the type of version you are.
Gonna say everything funny.
I play too much. I don't know. But I do. But I think having a partner that's patient. Yeah. You know, and I mean, it's pain. It's pain opening an area of your body that's never been open and creating safety around it, vulnerability, and no pressure. It's a blessing. And just trusting the Lord in your sex life. You know, knowing that it's not a sex finish line the first time. It's a whole life. So we a whole embryo out here, you know, and we getting nutritions that work. It's like, ooh, I ain't throw up today. That's a good one, you know, and giving feedback.
Why your analogies be so thrown up? She never go worse.
I don't know. They just come. Yeah.
We throw up today.
Or that didn't taste good. You know? But we growing. We growing is a process.
We a whole embryo.
That's real.
And so the reality is this. So what can you say to people? It may be people still holding on to their virginity, maybe teenagers that look up to you and they are trying to find the value of that. What would you say to them that makes it worth the wait?
You know, I would say being human, we all have like a memory calculator. And so when you have multiple memories and sexual experiences, you're preparing yourself for love in a marriage. So you have to figure out how you want to first how you want to trust the Lord in your journey.
That's good.
And understanding that you are a temple. God created us. So you decide what your journey looks like, but the more experience you have, the more memories, the more ways your body can go through things naturally.
Yep.
You know, and God makes us over sanctification, but we all still have to deal with our debts and what we do. And so I say be wise, because when you get married, you can't create a transformer of a lover because you've experienced transformational things. You know? And
that was so eloquently said.
You know, so I would say be wise and understand why you're doing it, because virginity you can get into pride, you know, holding your virginity up, like, Lord, this is what I am. It's like, no, you know, sin and the Lord designs protection for us from sin, right? It's not to be prideful, like I'm not sinning, it's actually to protect you. So holding your virginity up, it's like, it's no righteousness of your own. It's actually God's protection why he doesn't want you to have sex outside of marriage. And so even for people who've had sex, nobody's perfect.
Yeah. Right.
And it's a vast variety of virgins, you know, but be wise with your actions because you have to pay for them.
Did you say a vast variety of virgins?
Absolutely.
What makes them a variety of virgins?
Well, it's virgins who do as much as they can without the whole. It's virgins who purity is not part of their virginity.
That's real.
Yeah, it's virgins who are pursuing holiness. So I know people who would be like, man, if I had the right man, they waiting. So everybody's hearts are in different places with virginity.
They said they're a virgin from a lack of options.
This is
They're
true.
like, if I get a dude, it's over. You can have this.
Well, you can't have this.
You can have this. I don't even care no more. He said, well, am I holding this for long? I heard a woman say that before. It was funny. And so as you look at this, what was the most memorable moment of y'all wedding day?
Oh, that's a good
Deangelo.
one. That's
The most memorable moment. Ugh. This is when I saw her come out. Man, it was when I saw her come out. People don't prepare you for weddings. First of all, a wedding is a blur. Like everything's a blur.
For sure.
Like I didn't see most of the people. I didn't even see like the people in the crowd or anything. Like it was like I was laser focused on her. And I remember when she walked out, I was just like, oh, I can't do it. Blah, you know?
Yeah, waterworks.
Yeah. And I'm like, that's about to be mine. That's about to be mine.
Yeah.
And so that was my moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was yours?
You know, mine, I think it was a reception.
Oh, yeah. That was fun.
Reception was so much fun. We came out with a dance. We was rehearsing and stuff. So we had a dance, but then just seeing all our family and hearing them speak and, you know, just understanding that we're married now. The ceremony is so short. So choose wisely.
Yeah.
This day, who you will marry.
Ooh, we should tell them what we did, what we did at the reception.
What y'all do?
That was dope. So we came up with this idea. We figured that this would probably be the only time that our families would be together.
Yeah.
So instead of having like a traditional like wedding reception where it's like do the first dance and stuff like that, we did family feud.
Yeah.
We did a family feud game, and it was so much fun. It was like themed around her and I, right?
Yeah.
Like some like stuff to have to
our
do
dating
with that.
journey.
And we've got our family up there to like compete against each other. It was so fun.
Oh, that's dope.
It
What made y'all
was.
come up with that?
Because we fun people.
Yeah. It was like
kids.
Yeah.
We was like,
That's
that'll be
dope.
untraditional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is dope.
It was fun.
And so I got married in Nashville.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember. Dang, still a little salty. Yep, I haven't even seen a picture, nothing. I just have to believe. I just have to trust that y'all got married. I don't even know. I'm saying this to my audience or whatever. I don't even know if they really married. I'm just saying that. Yeah, like can I see a photo?
Give him a picture. Let's get like real time reaction.
I got you.
Yeah, y'all see how they do me.
You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
See how they do me.
I'm sorry.
And see, Deangelo, his last name is my mother's maiden name, Moss.
And I didn't know that.
He sure
Nope.
did.
And I was like, that is so dope.
Let me find a professional
find an old nice old professional photo.
Which one you want
So
to
y'all
do?
been married so y'all got married October the 27th of 2024.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Wow, y'all look good.
Oh, thank you.
Wow. Like, I ain't forgive me, Mo. Take this. I don't want to see that picture no more. They about to get me, choke me up over here.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Big day.
So when y'all look at that, what do y'all think? He said, show me another. What's the other one?
The elevator. Where's the elevator?
When you look at that, what are y'all thinking?
You know, I think we're creating a new storyline for love. For ourselves, our bloodline. We both understood the weight of marriage going in. And for me, my biggest thing was being present. You know, and being in the performance space, it's easy to, when I was creating my vows, I'm like, okay, I just trashed. I'm like, I'm not performing. I don't have to make people laugh. I don't have to. So then I'm like, Holy Spirit, just help me to say what I feel about my husband.
Oh, that's good.
You know? And so for me, I was like, I'm going to be present. This is going to be beautiful. And you feel like heaven rejoices that a team is coming together today. You know? So, yeah, I had 2 feet on the ground. We'll be breathing like, okay. You know? We did our first touch. We did a touch.
Yeah.
And so...
Did you feel fear at all?
I didn't feel fear.
Even when you were sitting back and before you came out, while you're getting dressed, did you feel any fear hit you where you like, I'm really about to do this and this scares the bejesus out of me?
I never felt fear about our relationship or the security that I felt with him because his heart is so in the Lord. Like, that's always been my reservation with men, their placement in the Lord, in their heart posture. When I got to know him, I'm like, that's what made me feel safe. That literally was naturally a response to his relationship with God and how it manifests through him. So my biggest fear was probably just being in the spotlight and kind of how I felt talking like vows. I'm like, ooh, I feel childish. This my husband, though. Let me profess my love in front of all my loved ones, because that's what marriage is, you know? And so that was probably the most kind of nerve-wracking, but...
Profess my love in front of all my loved ones.
Yeah.
That's what marriage is.
Amen.
Deangelo, what is your hope? God spoke a lot of things to you about your marriage and showed you the great exploits that you would do with your wife, that those exploits were unachievable without your purpose partner, and God blessed you to do life till death do you part with Whitney, formerly known as Davis.
This is true.
How do you see her being a part of this vision, and what is your hope that you want the world to take away from your love?
I pray that our love, our marriage, our relationship is making us a walking billboard of God's goodness and his faithfulness. That's what I want. I want people to see us and hope again.
And hope again.
That's
Whitney,
so good.
What do you want?
For people, say the question. What was the question? So that was a good answer.
Matter of fact, I'm going to do one better. I'm going to play this part in this video. This is what you said at the very end where we got to this place in the interview and I had you speak.
You know, what I would want to say to anybody who's watching is don't give up on yourself. And so what I mean by that is don't abandon your journey when you feel less than, when you feel rejected, when you feel abandoned. Know that there's love accessible to you, right? Even when your heart can't see it, there is an existence of love for you. And so with that love, you show yourself grace. Even when you're beating yourself up, show yourself grace. Figure out how to be your best friend, your biggest cheerleader, and just don't abandon the journey because it's worth it, right? The love on the other side is so worth it. And when you get ounces of that, keep it tight, because it's a reminder that you are able to be loved. You know, you are able to receive love and exist in a healthy ecosystem yourself, right? Regardless of what goes on. So I would just say, don't give up. Don't give up on your journey, because even though you can't see it, he working it out.
Yes.
And that's truly what I believe when I can't see. That's good. Wowzers.
So, can you imagine? You said
Sing
that
it.
October the 2nd of 2022,
That's
having
crazy.
no idea that when tested with this thing that you deserve,
Come on.
you would try to self-sabotage. What do you think, being on the other side of this, hearing yourself say that in 2022, experiencing what you experienced through 2023, 2024-ish, because you met him, y'all had y'all first, I guess you can't call it a date, but
Meeting.
October, your first meeting.
Business.
Your first meeting was October the 17th. What was it?
September 24th.
4th.
We met. He moved October 30th, Halloween. We became
2023.
together November 11th. I can't believe I remember dates.
I love
That's
dates.
how I know I
So
love.
11/11
Yep.
of 2023, y'all made it
Married.
official.
Yep.
And then 2024, October the 17th, y'all got
October 27th.
October 27th, y'all got married.
Less
Yeah.
than a year later.
Yeah. Wild.
And in this video, you said you deserve it.
Yeah. You know, I think the biggest thing in singlehood, in dating, in marriage is nurturing your relationship with yourself and with the Lord.
Right.
That's really what's going to keep you, because you have your own private thoughts, and whatever you grow and nurture is how you're going to show up for your partner. So people often get in relationships to distract themselves, to give love, to do all the things and feel good. But however, you always are with yourself, you know, and you express that healthily or whatever. But I think the biggest thing is nurturing your relationship with the Lord. That's what I can say. And it determines how you're going to show up for your partner.
Any closing words y'all like to leave before we wrap up? Because y'all blessing my whole soul right now.
Goodness. Any closing words? Well, I have a community.
Come on, tell them about your community so we can, the Lit Fam, I want y'all to
Yes.
support. Tell her what you got going on.
Yes. So I created a community called Singlehood and Sisterhood. It's my
Singlehood
baby.
and sisterhood.
Yes. Singlehood and Sisterhood. I'm so excited. Built it from the ground up. But what I learned in singleness is that you need help. You need support. You need encouragement. If I didn't have my girls, I don't know if I would have kept believing. And so I'm like, Lord, I really could have used the community of like-minded women when I was single.
Yeah.
And so I created one.
Good.
And it's awesome.
It's
Yeah.
good.
It's growing, and we meet every week on video. I give inner work assignments where people look on the inside. Like it's popping. And so my hope for it is that it will be a one-stop shop for women who were abused, you know, just whatever your circumstance is, in loneliness or whatever, that you could feel home somewhere.
And how do they connect with you?
Yes, online.
What's the website?
Singlehoodandsisterhood.com.
Singlehood and sisterhood.
Yep, and
.com.
sisterhood.com.
Singlehood and sisterhood.com.
Yeah.
Deangelo, what you got? How can we support you?
Yeah, well, if anybody out there is struggling, if you have issues with Sexual immorality in any way. That could be pornography, masturbation, same-sex addiction, just sex addiction. I mean, whatever it is, we have a team of people who are there to support you. We understand where you are. You are not alone. And if you want a little bit of support, some people who can help you get on the right track, hit us up. That's freebytruth.co.
Freebytruth.co.
Or you can just DM me if you want to. That's fine too.
DM him. He'll connect you. Let me tell you something. What I love about y'all is y'all are what we see. What we see is who y'all are. Yeah. Y'all are 10 toes down, rooted and grounded, and just good people. Yeah. And so thank y'all for blessing me with this exclusive with y'all. I know it's very challenging when you've kept something so protected and so private for so long to be like, I'm gonna go on Dear Future Wifey. I don't know what questions he's gonna ask me, but y'all be like, all right, let's just talk. Yeah. And so I love that y'all are just open and honest and transparent and vulnerable. And man, I know y'all bless people so much just to hear you be transparent and vulnerable about how you were trying to push Deangelo away. Yeah. And for Deangelo to be so transparent and vulnerable to be able to say, dang, like, this is hurting me. Like, what? I'm shedding real tears, and I did nothing to deserve this. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I just want to love your daughter, and she's pushing me away. I love that y'all shared that. Thank you for sharing the power of not just abstinence, but protecting one's virginity, because that's not amplified enough. And thank y'all for being rooted and grounded to say, hey, listen, we're not trying to give y'all marriage advice. We just trying to get you from dating to saying I do. This is where this is a space we're going to exist in to help you get here and not to self-sabotage that.
I forgot. Yeah. So, hey, if you're out there and you're single,
the dating project.
We need to talk about the dating project. Listen, we got a whole thing between the two of us. If you're single out there, you want to be married, you're serious about this thing, thedatingproject.co or The Dating Project Official on Instagram, okay? So hit us up. We got you. We making this thing happen.
We going to be touring churches, singles events, mixers. We're making it cool to be single.
Yeah, we got a whole app. We putting people together. There's marriages. We got marriages coming out of it.
I don't know. I know that's a dance.
I know.
I think. Anyways. Sorry. Got excited.
It's all right.
I did.
So y'all give it up. Y'all make sure y'all check out the Dating Project. Singles and Free by Truth, Singles and Sisterhood.
Singlehood and Sisterhood.
Singlehood and Sisterhood. That's good. Singlehood and Sisterhood.
Come on.
Matter of fact, all the links are going to be in the description. So I'm going to make it easy for you. You ain't got to remember. Go to the description. The links are going to be there. And listen, y'all give it up for my people. Whitney Moss. I want you to say your last name. Because I haven't heard you say your last name yet. What's your name again?
Whitney Moss.
What's your name?
Whitney LaBelle Moss.
There it is.
There it is.
And my homie, Deangelo Moss. Listen, y'all give it up, man. I love you.
Emma Terrace, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for, in my journey, you were one of the first men that poured into me, that showed me what a man is like. You know, that provides. I remember you sent me like money one time to get something to eat.
Yeah.
You know, but you would do stuff with no ulterior motive. And I'm grateful for that, because I feel like it was a prelude, because the Lord is faithful to show you things that's possible, you know? And so I'm grateful for you, your ministry, how the Lord is just, every time you're on the timeline doing something different.
Trying to be like you when I grow up. Whitney about to hit 1 million. She about to hit 1 million subscribers. Last time I checked, she about 50,000 away. Wow. And so let's get her to hit 1 million so we can have a big old celebration. And so that's going to, I just be checking. I'd be like, I can't wait till she hit 1 million, because that's going to make me just smile really, really big. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I'm glad you pointed that out, and thank you so much. My thing is the women in my life, the people that God allowed me to experience on their journey. I want them to have a healthy experience of me, so they don't think every dude is trying to get between their legs or whatnot. Yeah. That I can love you like a sister. And people always be like, why don't you date Whitney? Why don't you date Whitney? I was like, that's my sister. That's my friend. That's my homie. And I love your mom. Your mom is cool. I'll be more likely to be your daddy than your husband. But anyway, too much. You finna walk off? You finna walk off? Oh, my bad. All right,
almost. Almost. That's where I cut it.
likely to be your daddy than your husband.
Lord
so listen,
Wow.
I don't like it.
don't like it. You don't like
No.
it. But listen. Thank y'all so much for being transparent and vulnerable. And listen.
Oh, she gonna laugh at that one.
Stay tuned to the end for a letter to my future wifey. And writing these love letters to you. Ladarian, thrusted suddenly into Child Protective Services in 2015. My nephew, black, a boy. The likelihood of being adopted outside of kinship, slim to none. Armani, 16 years old, black, a boy, with 5 years in the foster care system before I even knew his name. The likelihood of ever being adopted, yep, you guessed it, slim to none. While Ladarian and Armani were trying to survive and barely thrive in an overpopulated and underfunded foster care system, I was living my own life, doing well professionally. Having been a single father with a daughter who at that point was doing well in college, it was my time to live my life, right? Wrong. I felt unsettled, tireless, agitated. There are just too many of our black children stuck in ambiguity and in the limbo of the foster care system. In 2017, I legally adopted my nephew, Ladarian. Fast forward to 2019, I had no ties to this other young king, but I felt God instructed me to adopt him also, and I obeyed. Starting over with parenting should have been enough, right? Working with various foster care and adoption agencies to help bring awareness to the countless young black kings in the foster care system should have decreased my agitation, right? Joining the board of directors of Advantage Adoption, an organization that helps find permanent adoptive homes for children in foster care, should have led to some type of resolve, right? No, not at all. None of it felt like I had done enough. I now realize that every one of those experiences was laying the fundamental foundation for my life's mission, Kingdom Royale. Kingdom Royale will be a luxury, state-of-the-art home for foster boys. Our first location will be in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. We will utilize the whole person approach that instills identity, empowers them to advocate for themselves, and enlightens them regarding new perspectives and limitless options that they thought were impossible. Though the young kings will attend the local public schools that are in proximity to Kingdom Royale, our at-home curriculum will broaden their worldview through participating in the arts, attending various cultural events, learning about and engaging in multifaceted discussions about current events and even relevant historical context, introducing them to gardening and landscaping and even caring for our animals on our farm and on-site stables. We just launched our Startup Capital campaign with the goal of raising $2.8 million. Now, why $2.8 million? Well, in 2017, I created a web series in which I performed random acts of kindness for targeting the homeless community. One of the most notable successes was that one of the videos went viral, garnering 28 million views. However, one of my biggest regrets is that I didn't raise a single dollar to help in implementing a more sustainable plan for the homeless community. So throughout the years, with much remorse, I reflected on not maximizing that moment. I knew if at that time, just 10% of the viewers donated $1, we would have raised at least $2.8 million that could have really established long-term support for the homeless community, or at least started a long-term initiative to do so. This is my do-over. This is our new beginning. Together, we can attack this at the root by specifically helping our homeless black boys who are already disproportionately represented in the American foster care system. I'm Laterra Whitfield. I've been nominated for 3 regional Emmys documenting my work with the homeless as well as my personal adoption journey. Despite those accolades, the greatest award for me is truly providing the infrastructure for a transformed life. Visit kingdomroyale.com for more details. Crown a king and make a donation today. Wow. I have no more words. Here's my favorite part of the podcast where I speak to my future wifey. Dear future wifey, love has a way of catching us off guard, doesn't it? I imagine meeting you might not happen in a grand orchestrated moment, but rather in an unplanned instance where our paths unexpectedly align. Maybe it's the shared laughter in a line at the coffee shop, or perhaps it's the way our eyes meet across a crowded room. Pure serendipity. Spontaneity has a beauty that defies logic. It teaches us to surrender our need for control and trust that something divine orchestrates the timing of our connection. In my mind, spontaneous love is the universe's way of saying, you don't need to plan this. It's already written. When we meet, I hope we embrace the unpredictability of falling in love. Let's skip the scripts and step into the adventure of simply being. I want us to create memories born out of whimsy, driving aimlessly until we find the perfect view, dancing in the rain because the moment felt right, or booking a flight on a whim to explore someplace neither of us has been. So here's my promise. When you step into my life, I'll hold space for spontaneity. I'll cherish the surprises and embrace the unknown, because that's where the magic of love resides. Wherever and whenever we meet, I'll be ready. Not in perfection, but in openness and faith that our story will unfold exactly as it should. Your future hubby. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Dear Future Wifey podcast. Remember, be lit, live intentionally and transparently, and don't stop loving. Make sure to subscribe to our Dear Future Wifey YouTube channel. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher. We welcome your support. Simply share our podcast with your friends and family.